Thank you to the EA Creator Network for providing me with game codes, enabling me to conduct research and produce this podcast. This podcast was recorded on Kaurna Land. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of Kaurna country and country throughout Australia. I recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs, and the relationship with the land, and I pay my respects to elders past, present, and upcoming.
Kom mal sneller.
Mashuno!
Hello and welcome to Live Mode, a Sims podcast. I am Alex Woohoo Tattoo, and this is episode 4. And we've got a packed episode today. We're going to talk about some exciting news with the new expansion announcement. We're also going to delve into a little bit of history in The Sims, and we've also got an amazing special guest, so stay tuned. Welcome to the Plum Bob Press. Here is The Sims news and what happened this week, June 2025. So we'll talk about the roadmap and everything that was happened, but first I would just really want to pay my respects to Tim Letourneau. So Tim was a producer and executive producer at Maxis, and he unfortunately has passed away. So I wanted to just do a little bit of a tribute and a little bit of a recap on who Tim was and why he was really important to the Sims community. So not only was he an executive producer at Maxis, he was a contributor to many games, including The Sims, Sims 2, My Sims, and then lots of other Maxis games. Now, I was first made aware of this news by a Reddit post. Vertex Normal, apparently is a Maxis employee, posted this wonderful Reddit tribute on the 1st of June, alongside a personal anecdote telling everybody how Tim was the one to hire them. So Tim is married to Donna and has 4 children. Donna is the voice of the babies and the toddlers in The Sims 2 and 3, and she's also the voice of the superstar that is Mrs. Crumplebottom in The Sims 2. There's also a pre-made bartender in The Sims 2 named after her. The Sims franchise could never be the same without the work that Tim put into his career. He was one of the main drives behind putting cars into The Sims 2. There's also an Easter egg in The Sims 2 where if 2 Sims are in the pool playing Marco Polo, they seem to be speaking Simlish, but what they're actually saying is, Timla, Tornau.
Timla! Turno.
His spirit will always live on through his work. Now, on to some Sims news. So this week there was a roadmap. I know I mentioned that there was a roadmap to a roadmap last episode. This time we have our actual roadmap that relates to The Sims 4 and what is coming. So I've got it up here, and I'm just going to tell you some important dates to look out. I'm going to read it straight from the horse's mouth, aka the EA website. Side note, I've also changed all these dates to Australian release dates, so you don't have to worry about what date it is coming out. Save the dates. Watch for Twinkles in the Forest on June 13 for the reveal of the Enchanted by Nature expansion pack. Get a more in-depth look at this whimsical world with new gameplay trailer on June 27, and embrace the call of the natural world with the pack releasing on July 11. So it's releasing worldwide July 10, but by the time it's released, it will be July 11 here in Australia. It usually comes out about midnight. Venture into the great outdoors with the Nature's Calling event coming to the base game on June 25. Stay tuned for more information on this limited time event where you'll hone your Sims handiness skill to discover a long-hidden secret of nature. If you want more information on the Nature's Calling event, you can check out last week's episode of Live Mode, the Sims podcast, where we delve into all the details regarding the Nature's Calling event. Bask in rays of sunlight draped in greenery descending from above, with a base game update coming on July 2. Additionally, new skin customization options will be available in another base game update on August 20. Keep an eye out for more information that will be shared in the days ahead. So this last paragraph had me very intrigued because it says that a new skin customization option will be available in the base game update. But then the first one says, bask in rays of sunlight draped in greenery descending from above. What does that mean? Is that Plant Sims? I don't know, but it's very skeptical. We don't know what's going on. There's going to be 2 game updates, base game updates, free. They will be in your game. So make sure you're checking for updates and make sure you disable your mods because obviously this is going to be an update. But it's exciting to see that the Sims are going to be giving us some free content. And then obviously we still do have the expansion pack and the event, which is coming. So nice, exciting things happening. Now, talking about the Enchanted by Nature expansion pack, it was officially revealed through the somethingisgrowing.com website, which again, we talked about in the last episode. And there's a lot of, I guess, sort of conspiracy as to whether this is going to be fairies. I saw a lot of people go back and forward saying, yes, it's fairies. No, it's not. It's only gnomes. We don't know what the occult is. Blah, 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 blah. Now, there was a final screen that was released, and this is the English translation, or the English page had this. You are awoken at dawn to the sound of high-pitched laughter, somehow both sweet and sinister. All of a sudden, you're met with a magical presence. You're a little afraid at first, but you learn to embrace the wonder and mischief of these little creatures' abilities can bring, nurturing plants, influencing emotions, and a whole lot more. So that's what the English one said, but the Portuguese page had something that was so obvious, like they weren't hiding it. And I think I first saw this on Iron Seagull. He mentioned it in one of his videos. I'll tag it in the description below. I'm not going to read the Portuguese words because I can't speak Portuguese. I can speak some Spanish. I'm not going to even touch. But this is what the English translation was. Lose yourself in enchantment. You hear the sound of a high-pitched laugh, which sounds somehow both sweet and sinister. It can only be fairies. Fairies can develop abilities that allow them to nurture plants, change the moods of others, enchant beings, and more. So this is just a blatant, obvious, like, there's no red herrings here. They have announced fairies. This is official. There are some other leaks, though, and I'm not going to talk about leaks because I don't like to I don't like to humor the people who go against the rules. And as an EA game changer or creator network person, there are big no-nos, big NDAs. You can't share content. So I'm not even going to touch on the leaks. If you want to go look at leaks, trust me, they're all over the internet. Sims community will have you covered. And that's all for the news this week. Okay, it's time for you to grab a cuppa, maybe a Tim Tam, get cozy, because we are going to school. It is time for Sim Nation University. Okay, class, settle. Today we're going to be learning about the history of LGBTQIA+ representation in The Sims. So I wanted to really talk about this today because June is Pride Month. So if you didn't know it's Pride Month, happy Pride. If you celebrate, if you're an ally, huzzah! Let's get on to how The Sims became one of the biggest queer-friendly video games ever and how it got there by accident. So when we play The Sims 4, we might take for granted the fact that we can kind of romance anyone we want, including the Grim Reaper. But there was a time when The Sims wasn't as inclusive and diverse as it is today. So let's not focus on the things that The Sims 4 is missing and how it could be better. But instead, let's talk about the journey of how The Sims became one of the most celebrated queer games in history. So we're going back to Sims 1 days. Again, this was going to be an architect simulator. It was supposed to have a little person in there judging the build of your house and how well furnished it is. So while they were putting together all of the behavioral science, I guess, of these little creatures, they had to build these scripts and they had design documents that were all laid out and it had social constructs and all this stuff. In mid-1998, Don Hopkins, a programmer on The Sims, annotated these early design documents, noting the lack of same-sex relationships in this early build of The Sims 1. He goes on to explain that the original build only included romance interactions with Sims of the opposite gender. In fact, if a Sim romantically interacted with the same-sex Sim, that Sim would slap the player-controlled sim. His annotations in the document where he calls it heterosexist and monosexist, going on to say that we, Maxis, are going to be expected to do better after a response saying about how Maxis was being not anti-gay. And this is in reference to a situation with SimCopter. So SimCopter, also made by Maxis. Apparently there was a guy who went a bit rogue and put in a code for this, I guess it was an NPC, and they were wearing budgie smugglers and holding hands with other male characters and kissing them. Maxis actually fired this guy. So after this, it became a big hearsay about Maxis saying, oh, well, we're not anti-gay. Then it was kind of like, well, we need to prove it now. My favorite part of this excerpt that Don writes says, it would make for a far more interesting and realistic game. Partially influenced by random factors, and anyone offended by that needs to grow up and get a life. And hopefully our game will help them in that quest. Anyone who's afraid that it might offend the sensibilities of other people, but of course not themselves, is clearly homophobic by proxy, but doesn't realize it since they're projecting their homophobia onto other people. So all of this annotations, he even recommended new ideas in order to remodel through coding in order to implement these new romance interactions between all genders. Well, both genders, because The Sims was very binary. And apparently Will Wright, the creator of The Sims, was supposed to review this content, and according to Don Hopkins, it never happened. So let's flash forward a few more months. In October 1998, a new programmer on the scene, his name's Patrick J. Barrett III, joined the team. He was tasked with implementing social interactions in The Sims. His manager actually went away on a vacation, so he was kind of left to his own devices and didn't understand the politics with the whole Maxis thing. He was given an old design as well. So he was given an old design document and minimal intervention. So he kind of just went and did what he felt like. And Patrick Barrett himself is gay. So he was just doing what he felt right. So nobody sort of said anything. They sort of just slipped it under the rug. And they said if they did make a big deal about it, it would probably be axed anyway. So one day Will Wright walked past Barrett's desk and said, oh, I'm glad that made that back into the game. Good work. He was glad that the same-sex support was back in the game. The kiss that changed video games, and this is, whether or not it's true, I don't know. I'm just going to believe it's true because it is spectacular. It is such a great story and I love it. E3 Expo, I don't know if they do them like they used to, but it used to be a big gaming expo and there would be things like, shows and conferences, and it's basically where developers and publishers would go to present their games to other developers, but also crowds of people. So to basically gain hype and momentum behind their projects. 1999, this is before The Sims came out, it was still looking a little bit slow. The Sims had this small little corner of E3, and apparently this E3 had like David Bowie and a WWE wrestling ring. So it was huge. So they just had this tiny little corner because nobody wanted to support a girls' dollhouse game where there's no killing or real goal to the game, right? As I mentioned in my first episode, The Sims really took a long time to get a publisher behind it because nobody believed it was going to be any good. And this is probably one of the kickers that really made waves. They managed to drive so much more interest, and this is how it happened. Barrett was in charge of setting up these presentations throughout the day. So he had the Sims game set up on Rails, which is basically he'd given them commands and he had set up these scenarios so that the game will play and you're not getting that monotonous gameplay that you would get if you were just sort of doing nothing. So there were a few different scenarios, but the one that stands out is the wedding scenario. So again, this scenario is pre-planned, not a live simulation, but more guided from the team in order to show the mechanics of the game and its gameplay in its best light. Now, this wedding went a little bit queer. There were too many Sims at the wedding party. Barrett didn't have time to control and script them all, which meant that these Sims just had free will. So this is their first presentation. There's a crowd behind them, and these two female Sims dressed in the formal wear from Sims 1, if you can remember, it's just a wedding gown because that's all we had. They decided that they were going to kiss at this wedding party, and it turned heads. This scene was unplanned, but the reception from the E3 attendees was the talk of the town. They started having crowds come over, and Barrett actually said, "I guess straight guys that make sports games really like the idea of controlling two lesbians." So that's how a kiss in The Sims really changed the way of gaming culture in the queer community, but also turned heads and made The Sims the what it is today because it was so far ahead. Barrett also said that it was a magical moment when my first same-sex Sims couple kissed. Sometimes I still wonder how in the world I got away with it. Going forward, this is where they then decided to implement the same-sex in a more natural way. And The Sims 1, again, very binary. Sims gender preference could only be determined whether or not romantic by the interactions that the player was giving. So they would always be neutral or pansexual until they were given a direction towards whatever gender. So Sims are pansexual, neutral preferences until the user directs them. Same-sex relationships are allowed in The Sims 1, but they cannot get married. So this was considered to be still probably a sacred event, and it was an event, and it was only for heterosex couples. Only heteros can get married. Same-sex Sims can move in, and then once they've moved into the household, because there's no family dynamics, you can just use your imagination, and that's how we used to do it. Personally, I used to believe that the Roomies family in The Sims 1 were lesbians, and this is how I know where I am today. The Sims 2 had a little bit more programming when it came to gender preferences. They have a preference scale actually built into the code, but you can't actually access this unless you go digging for it. In their programming, they have sort of like a scale as to what gender they're attracted to. However, there are no official queer Sims from the franchise in this game, but there are some Sims who they've found to have preferences towards the same sex. Now, in The Sims 2, same-sex Sims can now join union at the marriage arch. But there's a caveat to this. If you compare the aspiration points to a hetero marriage, there's less aspiration points if you were to have a civil union. So I don't know what that slap in the face is, but at least you guys can marry in The Sims 2. Moving on to The Sims 3, and this is 2009, I just want to put that out there. Same-sex couples can get married in The Sims 3 and have most of the same interactions as a hetero marriage. And I just want to also point out that in Australia, the same-sex marriage bill didn't pass until 2017. So this is like almost 8 years later that it was legalized in Australia. So this was very ahead of its time. The only thing that queer married couples in The Sims 3 can't do is try for baby and have biological children, because obviously how are they going to do that, right? I know. Sarcasm. But if you go to the Oasis Landing Hospital in the Into the Future expansion pack, you can actually go to the hospital and have a biological child. So using the Sims DNA, quote, they will be able to have a child based on their genetics. This has always started to see some queer representation by the pre-made Sims that were put into the Sims game. Gobias Coffee, an absolute legend, an icon. He is a man, he's a man of a meme, and I'm not even going to touch on Gobias Coffee today, but in his description it says that he has a hard time trying to find a woman, maybe because he prefers the company of men. The first gay couple in the franchise was actually on the Sims 3 console. And I don't normally touch on console games here, but I think it's important to mention Leonard Ryan. He's a widower, single father after the death of his husband. Then later we had the Roaring Heights sort of mini pack. It was like a DLC that you could buy. There was two main families in here. The Spear family, Dylan and Aubrey. They were a lesbian couple. So the first sapphic couple that came out, and then they had an adopted son. And in the description, it says that they've been trying, they've wanted to have a son for years, and now their dream has come true through science. So that's awesome. And then the Davis-Wells family, and this is probably my favorite because this is the drama. Can't remember the husband's name, but Rita and her husband, they are married, but they both are off having relationships in their own queer way. So Rita's off with some lady and he's off with someone else. And Rita, just side note, total babe, total steal. I'm actually going to load up Roaring Heights and have a sus because she's adorable. Anyway, let's move over to The Sims 4. Now, as we know, The Sims 4 today is very inclusive. It needs work, right? But they've done a lot. And considering how far we've come, I'm very proud to say that I'm a Simmer today because we really can make Sims so close to who we are. It's never going to be perfect. That representation of who you are individually is never going to be perfectly represented or mirrored into a video game. And also that's why mods exist. Moving on. So The Sims 4 was so binary until like 2016. Keeping in mind, came out in 2014. In fact, The Sims 4 was like a shell of a game for so long that it didn't really start sort of warming up until they started adding extra DLCs, free updates, and then obviously your expansion pack. So it's only really sort of come around in the last maybe 5 years that it's actually an enjoyable game to play. But we did have in 2016, we had a little bit of an update that allowed us to change masculine, feminine frames and also whether they can sit down to pee, stand up to pee, get people pregnant, be pregnant themselves, etc., etc. So this was one of the first times that we actually saw transgender representation in The Sims 4. Then in early 22, we had pronouns. So this includes all the normal he, she, they, she, blah, 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 blah. And then you can also use custom pronouns. Now, I have a fairy at the moment and Faye has fairy pronouns. I can never say them, but at least they're there, you know? It's just so nice to be able to use them. In July 2022, this is where they started including the sexual orientation, including exploring romantic boundaries. So you could say if you liked both men and women, or if you only liked men, or if you wanted to just woohoo with men and women, or if you only wanted to be married in a relationship with men. So it really did spread that sort of spectrum around a lot. Then 2023, this is where they released top surgery scars, binders, and shapewear. Again, our trans community, you're so well looked after here. Even though it's not perfect, it's nice to sort of know that there's some sort of representation. Then in March 2023 is where they dropped the Science Baby update. So this is now where we can have a Science Baby for 1,200 simoleons with any sim of your choosing, as long as they have a high enough relationship skill. And those two sims' DNA will basically bring out a biological child. However, I will just say there's a caveat to this. It doesn't give you the full pregnancy. So you might have to look into surrogacy if you want to experience the full pregnancy gameplay. So pre-made Sims in The Sims 4, there are so many. I'm not going to list them all. I'm just going to list some of my favorite iconic characters. We have got the first couple that was in the game was a gay couple called Brent and Brant Hecking and their little pug, and they were added for cats and dogs. We have Pakaua and Lia Huata. This is from the Sulani Island Living Paradise. Island Living Pack. And they both have ideations towards trans because they are both with the opposite frame, if that makes sense. So one has the mask frame but looks feminine, etc., etc. I'm not going to get too much into it. If you know who I'm talking about, just Google it. They are amazing. We also have Morgan Ember. Now, obviously, I have to talk about Morgan Ember, our non-binary legend. So Morgan Ember was included in the Realm of Magic pack, and this was way before any of these sort of inclusive diversity options were added. So there was a little bit of a, ooh, are they? Are they not? Morgan has feminine preference towards clothing, cannot get others pregnant, and cannot get pregnant themselves. So when it was updated, the pronouns update was included, Morgan came out with they, them pronouns. This is technically the first canon non-binary remade sim from Maxis. Also, I want to just mention, a few months ago, there was a Pride update that was free to everybody. So you should be able to find some new Pride decorations for you to celebrate this month. But in closing, I just want to say that the inclusion of queer representation in The Sims, it really paved the way for future developers. Where there was a fear, that team decided to sort of take a risk when the world was still really scared to talk about being gay. The 90s, it was very taboo. It was even scary because of the AIDS epidemic. So it wasn't really safe for people to be gay. But because you could live your life through a video game, it was safe. And it felt really reassuring. So as a tribute, in the credits of The Sims, there's actually a dedication to a transgender game design pioneer, Danielle Bunton Barry. She was one of the most influential first video game creators in the 80s and won so many accolades and awards, but even after her death, she was named one of the top 100 game creators by IGN. Now, while this is very much more inclusive from where we started, even if it may have been a mistake, there's still a lot of work that needs to be implemented to include people who just don't fit into that spectrum, into the male-female binary. But it's nice to know that with other simulation-type games that are coming out, how far the Sims franchise has really come towards inclusivity, and we should celebrate the customization that we have in the game. Happy Pride! Moving over now to the Welcome Wagon. And we have an amazing guest with us today. I'd like everyone to welcome Maedi. Maedi is an OG EA game changer and now part of the EA Creator Network. She is also a hairdresser, mum to Theo, pets Finn, Draco, and Papa Grim. She loves her Barbies and she's artsy. She's also a Sims ANZ co-founder. Welcome on in, my love.
So.
Thank you so much for joining.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me. I'm not a hairdresser yet. I'm technically studying. I won't be a hairdresser for at least a year, if not 2.
Look, you can dress the hair better than I can.
I can blow dry with the best of them. I can do a sick wash. I'm not allowed to cut hair yet.
Oh, okay. I'd let you cut my hair. Then again, I'd let anyone cut my hair. No, I'm kidding.
Let's make an appointment when you come down there.
Yay! Actually, I will tell you something so cute, and you'll probably cringe at this, but whatever. It's I remember before we actually knew each other, you used to have purple hair when I think you worked at JB Hi-Fi.
I had blue hair, but I'd sometimes have purple hair, which is when I was trying to go to pink, and I put the pink over the blue, and then it'd go purple. Yes.
I remember there was one selfie you put up, and I think I kind of knew of you, and you had these cute little space buns.
Oh.
And I actually took your photo to the hairdresser, and I got your fucking haircut.
I love that. And I love that we both have the same haircut now as well. Like the wolf cut shaggy.
Yeah.
The elder emo.
Yeah, I love your that fringe though. It just I was sitting there going, maybe I will get my fringe cut.
I love. Bangs are a choice.
Well, yeah, they are. That when you get older, you kind of need them to hide that.
I know.
Yikes. All right. Well, today we're going to have a little bit of chat about fairies. Yay. We're also going to talk about Sims ANZ. And also, I know you love your Barbies, and that kind of fits into this whole fairies miniatures thing.
It does, doesn't it?
Are you so excited for Enchanted by Nature?
So I'm a witch girly. Like that's my spellcasters are my jam. I'm always about the occults, but fairies are just so whimsical and happy, and I think that we need that right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much fun. And like I think in Sims 3 they were kind of there, but they weren't sort of fleshed out enough, you know, like
they were like a whole occult shoved into a little pack. Like Supernatural was great, but they tried to do too many things at once. Like Vampire, I don't even think Vampires got much of an update for the Supernatural pack. Anyway, but no, I'm very excited to have like a whole pack about them. And I think they'll be able to explore like both sides of the fairy coin.
Yay. And I love all the gnomes, and the gnomes from Sims 3 were the best. And like how they would just pop up and then change poses and you could collect them all. Oh, that was so good. That was so fun. All right. Well, I'm going to ask you some questions about you.
Oh,
we'll get that out of the way.
Okay, cool. I love talking about me, except for when it's being recorded.
No, you're all good. So I want you to do a really quick elevator pitch. Tell me about you. Why do you create content and why do you do it?
I don't create content anymore. I like to help other people create content. I like to get people in touch with the people that they need to speak to so that they can both be the best. And
Amazing.
that's why we started SIMSANZ. Like I'd already stopped. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm segueing myself, but
no, that's fine. You segue.
Like you and I were the original ones that were talking about it back in the day, and like that's what we wanted to do, and and I know that that's what you're going to do with this podcast too, is to get people together and talking, and a rising tide lifts all ships. I'm getting chills thinking about it. But
it's so sweet.
But that's exactly it. And like that's why I sort of pivoted from doing content to being more like supportive. Also,
and I love
that ADHD brain, I can't like keep a schedule to save my life.
No, same. I've got 2 books just for this podcast, and then I've got in my other diary, and then I've got the calendar and my Google Calendar, and I still have no idea what I'm doing.
I did a radio show in uni. I went to uni for journalism. Blech.
Nice.
Australian politics was all it was about. It was awful. But yeah, I know.
I love journalism, but I hate Australian media.
That was it. And that was the first year was just about Australian politics, Australian media. I didn't mind like the philosophy and the like journalism ethics classes and stuff like that. That was so much fun. It was just the media just killed me. But me and my ex-best friend had a radio show at Swinburne, and no matter how much prep I did, I'm just not a prep guy. That's again why I went for streaming rather than videos, is like I'm not a prep guy.
No, that's it. And I feel like with ADHD brain, I feel like I get, no matter how much prep I have, I still go off on a tangent.
Oh, totally. I mean, like right now, we already talked about what we were going to do, and we're just chatting.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sorry to everyone listening. It's the Alex and Maddie show now.
Yay! Besties. Even if I write like a script, like it's like, fuck, what? Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
You can swear. This is an Australian podcast.
That's so true.
We do a welcome for country. We can say fuck. It's so okay. Oh, I think in one thing I said budgie smugglers, so we're okay.
I love slipping those ones in because my partner's American. I don't like slipping the budgie smugglers in, but you know what I mean.
Slipping into the budgie smugglers.
I love bringing up Australianisms to him, but he's been here 12 years. So, 12 years? Yeah, something like that. So, like, nothing phases him anymore. It's very disappointing.
Well, I love the fact that you've got SIMSANZ running, because it really does sort of showcase Australia, but it also gives us a little place of community. And I think the time of the world right now, it's shit. And I think the one thing we really need is community. And who doesn't want to sit and yap about The Sims?
Literally. Literally.
But yeah, so thank you so much. I also want to just go into the fact that there was a Sims 25 exhibit at Acme.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me all about that, please? I want to know. Tell me what it was like.
It was amazing. Opti, JJ Binks, aka Lucre, and I were part of the Sims 25 campaign. So we went for a day shoot. They did some videos for us. It was very lovely. I've never felt so awkward in my life. But
that's so cool.
Anyway, and then as part of that, they did the Acme activation, and it was seriously like stepping into my bedroom in 2003-4. Like, it was wild.
Oh my god!
I did get told off for laying on the bed though. I was like,
but I saw heaps of people on the bed.
I know. I was so annoyed. What? I think it was because I was the first one to do it. Like,
oh yeah, well, someone has to be.
I have to be the first one. I need to break the tension. I can't.
I would do the same thing.
I can't leave a bed unbounced on.
And I just want to be honest. I was fucking shit jealous. I was sitting here going, I want to be there, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm because I'd already planned to go to Melbourne like 2 weeks later, and I was like, fuck,
worst
and
timing.
I was so grumpy. But you know what? I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to live in this moment, and that's why I just annoyed and shared everything, because I was like, I just want to just support the shit out of you guys.
I love it.
I'm so jealous, but I'm going to use this freaking envy and just push through it and be like, fuck yeah, my friends are the best.
That's one thing about Australia though, that like, I know the US is massive, but people just travel for events all the time there. But we only have Melbourne, Sydney, sometimes the Gold Coast and Brisbane. very rarely Adelaide, and then Perth is tacked on. Nobody thinks about Hobart or Darwin.
And I was going to say Tasmania. Yeah,
they don't exist. But like,
sorry, Tassie.
if you're not in Melbourne, Sydney, it's very hard to like be part of the culture.
When I went to the Sims 4 preview event, I was invited a week before. So I had a week and EA organized my flights and I was like, don't worry. Yeah, I don't know why I was invited. Don't even ask. I worked for EB
because you're amazing.
I was the Sims gal. And so Liz from EA was like, oh, I'll organize you accommodation. I'm like, no, just an invite is enough. So I like booked the shittiest hotel, like literally right near the King's Cross. The Southern Cross station.
I would have been frothing over them booking me stuff. I'd be like, hell yeah, get me a hotel.
I felt so bad. I was like, no, I don't deserve this. But then again, I had no self-worth. So I was like, no, I don't deserve this. And then the next day I had to work. So I had to be on the first plane back. So I went straight back to work. So I didn't even have time to get drunk. And I remember James and Deli were like getting lit. And I'm like, I want to play.
I want to get lit too. Oh, sorry. That was such an in-joke. That is exactly the voice that my son has adopted this week. I want this. I want to get lit too.
I want to get lit too. Mummy, I want to get lit. No, Theo, not until you're older.
I want a Band-Aid too. Like, babe, there's nothing wrong with you.
Kids are so funny. We were talking about fairies and obviously you saw the whole miniatures thing. So basically in the forum, people were going, oh, no, this looks weird. This art looks stupid. I think it's AI.
Oh, I did see that it was accused of being AI. And then I saw all of the like behind the scenes things. And I was like, I saw the behind the scenes things first. So I was like, miniatures.
Yeah. See, I think it was on the second day. I was like, hang on a minute. This isn't AI. It looks like a miniature. And I was on this forum and I'm like, guys, this is my professional, if you know knowledge. I'm pretty sure this is miniatures because if you look at the plant, it looks like a plastic plant. And if you look at the thread on the thing, I'm like, it's miniatures. And then they were like,
it's miniatures.
It is miniatures. We're actually going to be doing a behind the scenes. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I was the first one to realize it's miniatures. And then everyone's like, yeah, I knew it was miniatures. I'm like, no, you fucking didn't.
It's like, no, you just don't know what AI is anymore. It's panic.
But yeah, so that's why I was like, oh my God, we can totally talk about Barbies.
Please.
Yay. So it gave me inspiration to sort of want to build like a Sims 1 house in miniatures.
Oh my God. Would you do it Barbie scale or?
Yeah, like Barbie scale. Is it 1/6?
It is 1/6.
Yay.
Oh,
yay.
I love
so yeah, that's going to be my new craft hobby is I'm probably going to make the newbie house.
I can't wait.
So if you want to take the goths, by all means, go for it.
I did see someone just did a Bella Goth Barbie and she
oh my God, was that Coco? She's incredible. Coco Capino, I think her name is. She's incredible.
Don't make me say words. I don't know how to say words.
No, that's her username. I can never pronounce it. But she's got so much talent. I'm so jealous. I want to be her best friend.
Do you know Hissy?
Yeah, I know Hissy.
Hissy and I both like talk about miniatures all the time, and they've just got like a whole heap of paints and stuff to do face ups and like custom dolls. So I'm gonna let them experiment and fuck up and come back to me and tell me which products to use, and then I'll make Bella.
So my friend, I'm gonna use her name Heartstone because I haven't confirmed whether or not I can say her real name because she's going to be a guest on my show because she's a big miniatures and she's a Sims girl too.
Oh my gosh.
So I think it'd be really good for her.
There's dozens of us.
Oh, I know. But yeah, she makes like she up what is it called? Like reroutes them and like does them all. And she she does all of that. And she loves those miniature, all the what are they called? The Make It Minis?
The Make It Minis. Oh my God. Yeah. My mum and I basically, when Theo was a baby, I don't drive, so I couldn't really do much. I just had my pram, my feet, and a Kmart a couple of blocks down the way.
Nice.
And I was we called them balls. I'd be like, I'm getting a ball. I'm going to get a ball today. Mum, I picked up 5 balls, and like Mum and I have our little Make It Minis. I
literally have one here.
Oh, I think I've got 2 in this drawer next to me as well. There's a Hello Kitty one, but I've got a whole box of like the fashion minis. I love those. Nom, 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 nom.
Oh man,
I love those little plastic.
Was it Labulu Who? I'm all on about the minis.
Laboo?
Is that what it is?
I don't know. there was an artist called Caramel Law, who I've been following for ages. They used to do pull-up face-ups, like really extra dolls, but they've been doing Labubu for years, and that's the only way I knew what it was. And then I saw it popping up everywhere and I was like, excuse me.
Yeah, I've seen them because of the Pop Mart. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm so sick of seeing this stupid thing. And it's like, I will not jump on this bandwagon. I promise.
And now I'm like, I really want them.
No, I'm all right, I think. Takes a Dexy.
Oh, well, that's the problem with me is like spend too much money like on things I don't need straight away. But I'm like, I would love to get like skincare or like whatever and invest in stuff. And then I get a ball or like
skincare runs out. Balls are forever.
I went to buy this book the other day, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And it turns out I'd already bought it. So
oh my God. I reckon I saw your post actually. I was like,
And I'm so glad that you knew what 1/6 scale was.
Yay, of course.
It's actually impossible
to
look things up online because everyone does things in 1/12 scale and I'm a 1/6 play scale girly.
I saw something today and it was in 1/25 and I sent it to my friend Heartstone. I'm like, I want to eat it.
Yum.
I'm like, that looks like snack.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's move over to the rapid fire questions. Thanks to Power Sip Energy Drink, now in llama berry flavor for when you need power to pone.
Yarbadoo, zonker, yarbadoo.
Whew. Not really sponsored, but hilarious.
Power to pone.
Power to pone. All right. So I'm going to ask you some Sims questions. It's like no thoughts, head empty. First answer. If you need to think about it, go for it. And feel free to elaborate because it really doesn't matter. All right. What is happening in your game save right now?
Okay, so I've just started a new save and I have a note on my phone where I'm going through every world and I'm emptying them and like renovating them and moving Sims from other worlds over. I'm basically like doing my own revamp of all of the. So I'm not actually playing the game.
You're making your own save.
Yeah, I'm making my own save.
Love that.
But it's mostly just stuff that's already in there, and I don't play with mods or CC. I haven't played with CC in 5 years, longer. It was just so hard with streaming and like having to update stuff, and people are like, where did you get that lamp from? And I'm like, I actually don't know. It was anyway. So I'm doing a revamp and I just finished. I've got halfway done GG Easy that I'm making. Rest in peace. It makes me so sad. I'm currently going through and spreading occults out. I'm going to turn Lily Feng into a vampire and she's going to be like the queen of San Juno. I know, right?
Lily Feng.
And I gave, she's queen.
She is
and
queen.
I gave like the land grabs like a whole makeover and I adjusted all of their like interactions and like their parenting. What are they called?
The situations or whatever.
Yeah, and I made like Johnny Zest is in the household just for the purposes of moving them
Johnny
around.
Zest.
Yeah, and I've like changed all their relationships, and then I've made him and Nancy like fucking hate each other.
Oh, good. Okay,
and then Jeffrey's kind of like, because he was a doctor in a previous game, so I gave him like a medical degree, but then he's a secret agent as well. Like,
oh, cool.
I went through and I'm like adding little bits from the old. Anyway,
yeah,
that's not what you were expecting when you asked.
No, but I love that.
That's so good.
That's so good. The lore is the best. All right. Yes. So, what is your play style? Like if you're just playing, not your world, but what do you usually go for when you play?
So I do a lot of everything. When I'm playing for me, I'm in live mode most of the time. Like I like to like do rags to riches kind of thing. I usually only play one sim because I just don't have the brain capacity to be playing multiple sims at once. And if I do, it's in CAS. I'll make a family and then I'll put them in and I'll be like, this is too much. I'm going back to my one sim. Or I'll make one sim and then I'll make a whole family and then I'll be like, I don't want to play with the whole family.
And then you'll move them out.
Yeah.
I do that. Yeah. I save one sim in the gallery and I'm like, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So if you had to choose CAS, build, or gameplay?
I feel like gameplay because you can't really get, there are competitors coming out, but you can build in pretty much any other game.
Mhm.
I've got Barbies. Like,
Yeah, that's it.
it's just
Gameplay.
there's something about the gameplay that's just very different to other games or other things I can do.
What is your? I guess we haven't even mentioned what Sims game did you start with?
Oh, Sims 1, baby. On Mac. I used to
On
have
the
to import
Mac?
the I know. We were a
Ugh.
Mac household in the 90s. Like my whole family is Apple. And yeah, we had to import it. I only had base game, vacation, superstar. I think I had one more, but I wasn't allowed to have hot date. I wasn't allowed to have live and large. Like, yeah, I know.
That's so good. So I started with Sims. I think it was just after House Party, before Hot Date, so 2001. And yeah, I don't know how my parents let me, but I was 13. So
I wasn't allowed to have it at home until I want to say grade 5 or 6, but I was playing it at friends' houses and stuff. Like, I used to have this friend Ashton that we'd go to her house, and she had like a little loft that I was
cool.
11, and she had a loft, and we'd go up there and play Spyro and The Sims, and
That's
like
so cool.
it was so cool. There was no adults up there.
Love it. That's so wicked. All right. So do you have your first Sims memory? What's the first memory you have of playing Sims?
I don't. I've got like a few early memories of it, but I don't have like the first time I played The Sims or anything. It's all dark rooms and like making them woohoo and moving the bed out of the way.
Yeah, that's it. I love that. That's what
Making my crush and like making us have babies and kiss, hug, kiss, hug, kiss, hug, kiss, hug, kiss, hug, kiss, hug.
Kiss, hug, kiss, joke,
Yeah.
joke, talk, hug. All right. What was your most chaotic moment from any Sims game?
Okay, so a lot of these questions are similar to the ones that I had for the 25th anniversary questions.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh my God, I didn't even know that. That's so funny.
My most chaotic moment was killing grandma, but I'm going to talk about a different chaotic moment. Actually, no, I like the killing grandma story. So I was playing this family on stream, and that was the day that The Sims followed me on Twitter,
Oh, what?
Twitch, all of that. And I was like creating this really dire storyline. And basically, I ended up getting the grandma. I made her run on the treadmill a heap, and then she got a boyfriend, and the boyfriend came, and they woohooed in the bed once, and then she was exhausted, and then I made them woohoo in the cupboard, and then she stumbled out into the garden where her granddaughter was playing in the dirt, and then passes out and died. And then the Grim Reaper comes out between all of her like carefully tended garden to, like, in front of the baby.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
that's terrible.
And then meanwhile, I'm getting like follows from The Sims, and I'm like, oh, what is happening on this day?
That's so funny. I don't even remember the day The Sims followed me on Twitter.
It was back in the Mana Drake days.
Mana Drake, Amanda.
I know.
We missed.
Amanda. She ended up working with my partner at Epic.
Oh, cool.
Well.
Wicked.
And we were in the same town for like a week, and I never got to meet her.
Oh, she's so cool. I love that girl. She's a big Disney girl, that one.
Yeah.
She loves the Disney. I'm such a stalker.
Yeah, same.
All right. Well, in saying that, what is your favorite woohoo location?
Do you know what? I don't really make my Sims woohoo that much because I'm too focused. They're too like locked in on getting their bag.
Same. I'm a bit the same. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. Poor Kyle Carlson.
And I'm like, I could download Wicked Whims if I wanted to, but I've like never. That's not what I'm playing this game for.
I feel awkward playing Wicked Whims. I'm like, this is gross. If I want to go look at porn, I'll go look at porn. I'm like, The Sims is
literally
not for that.
No. But I do miss Sims 2, like the cutscenes, like the first time they woohoo.
And little
like,
porno,
so
like fucking music sting. It was so good.
Yeah.
Wow. Best. All right, well, you must have a favorite death then. All
of them. I love to drown them. I love to set them on fire. The pufferfish has a really cool
wow.
ghost.
I haven't done a pufferfish. My Sims always have too high a cooking skill.
Oh, yeah.
So you said you don't use CC, but when you did use CC, were you Maxis Match or Alpha?
Maxis Match, baby. I started off like just downloading anything that looked cute. And then I was like, this hair looks god awful. And I've got a beast PC. It wasn't like it was laptop mode or anything, but alpha hair to me back in the day, awful.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I remember seeing like skirts. I think it was actually in a Sims creator. I don't know who it was, maybe Trilky. I don't know. But she had a skirt and it had lace on it. And I'm like, that looks so alpha. I'm like, I'm not having that.
Yeah. I'm also really like strict about anything with text. It has to be in Simlish.
Same. Yeah. It needs to be in Simlish. It needs to be canon.
Yeah, literally. I'm literally the same. Yeah. So like occasionally I've got some old saves that have like Maxis Match CC still in there, and occasionally I'll bring it in, and then I'm like, oh, it's too much effort.
Yeah. And you're like, why is everyone bald? Why are you going around with black and red
they're
faces?
bald anyway because townies.
Yeah, true. If you were a sim, what would your traits be? And you can use any traits.
Clumsy, geek, clumsy, cringe, and creative.
Yeah, I'm definitely a cringe. I'm always the cringe one.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Like, if anyone who's ever met me is always like, wow, you are as weird in real life as you are on the internet. Like,
yeah, that's it.
Yes, I am.
Like, yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm all me. This is me. I only put on the radio voice. That's it.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time though. I have work Maddie, I have school Maddie, I have home Maddie, I have people Maddie. Like, there's all these different versions of me. One's a radio voice, one's like, yeah,
that's it. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm like, can you handle me? I don't know. And then I'll just test the waters and I'll say something stupid.
A little bit unhinged. Like,
I'm like, please don't HR me.
I go to school with a lot of 16-year-old, like very young kids. So I have to like be careful about what I say. And then sometimes I'll drop like ancient Maedi lore.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, what? You did that? I'm like, girl, I'm 33. Like, I've lived a life. I've lived an entire life since you've been born.
It's so good. It's like, you could be my child and then some.
Yeah.
All right. So that is, there's one more question in the rapid fire questions. Oh. And it is, what is your Sims 4 dream content?
Well, okay. So for the Sims 25, I said that it was going to be hobbies. That's what I wanted. Okay. And then we got hobbies. So,
but were they hobbies though? Shade.
I've been enjoying it. I feel like the small business thing is not as robust as I would like it to be. There is very limited in the options for businesses. I'm sure there are mods out there.
We want Sims 2 free time hobbies.
Literally, I just like just put every option of everything. Like,
yeah, exactly. I want to be able to ballet dance. I want to work on my car. I want to collect ants. Like, we
got a little bit of that with the. I feel like the musical instruments in Sims 4 are like what I want all hobbies to be like.
Yes.
Do you know what definitely. I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Because like old games, it was creativity was just one big skill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I feel like now we've also got knitting and cross stitch and painting. So yeah, it does sort of do that. We do have a lot of hobbies.
I like crystal creations as well. Like I just love those little bits that make like your Sims seem like they have rich inner lives instead of just wake up, pee, shower, food, go to work, come back.
It's like,
pee,
hey,
shower,
I found this rock and I'm going to make it into jewelry and I can give it to you. Like, I really like that pack too. It was a good one.
Those are the things that I like and I would like to see more of. And occult, but we are fingers crossed getting.
I was going to say this one coming out is hopefully on your radar anyway.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Yay. Cool. And thank you so much for Power Sip Energy Drink for sponsoring this piece. All right. So that is pretty much all. I just want to sort of ask some final questions here. And aside from everything else we've talked about, what is your current hyper focus?
Oh my God. Okay. So at the moment I am renovating a 1/6 Barbie house for my doll. I changed her Instagram username to Barbie Side. I had no idea.
Barbie Side.
I had no idea that was a cleaning product called Barbie Side, and they use it in the hairdressing industry for everything until I started doing this course. And I'm like, why did I not have a MySpace Barbie called Barbie Side? Like,
that's so good. That's so anyway, Suicide Girls.
I know. So that's what we're doing. We're doing elder emo millennial MySpace Barbie, and
I love
that's
that.
what I'm doing. Last night I tiled the countertops, and so I will be grouting those tonight.
I love it. Do you use toothpaste?
No, I'm using actual mosaic grout. I'm using mosaic tiles, like little glass pastels.
Yeah.
I'll send you photos.
You have to send me photos. I'm going to go and get you my Barbie in a minute because you have to see it. But thank you so much for being here. Maedi, you're the best.
I love you so much.
And feel free to let us know who you want to see on Live Mode next time. Thank you again, Maedi. Where can I follow you? Where can we find you?
I'm on Blue Sky, Maedi.Bisky.social. Bisky, I don't know how to say that out loud. I'm Maedi like medicine, but with an A in it on Instagram, Maedi on Twitter, and Maedi on TikTok, I think, as well.
Yeah, cool. And obviously, SIMSANZ.
SIMSANZ, baby. SIMSANZ everywhere. I think on Twitter it's got an underscore in it. But if you go to simsanz.com, I think it takes you to our Discord, which has got everything up there anyway.
Amazing. So if you are in Australia and you want to make some new friends, or if you want to just see what we're doing, come on to the SIMSANZ. I'll put the link in the bio. Thanks again, Maedi.
Thank you so much, darling.
Thank you so much for joining me today on Live Mode Sims Podcast, episode 4. Are you super duper excited for the trailer to drop? Because I think it's coming out in a couple of days. So I'm going to see if I can get this smashed up and put up as soon as possible. But let me know. Are you excited for this, fairies? What are you going to do first? I am going to put my sim. She's going to be straight into that world. I'm so excited. I'm pretty sure I manifested this back. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to hit follow, subscribe, and let me know who you want me to get onto the next podcast. I will have an episode out very, very shortly about all the information on the Enchanted by Nature expansion pack. Look out for that next week. Thanks, guys. Be good to each other. Have a lovely day. Dag, dag.